Every game has its meta, the very best options of the very best, but what if you reject that? What if you just absolutely hate the meta and want to stick to your own build and won't back down? Well, let's try things out. So today, we're going to be doing a run of the current hardest endgame activity in 76, which is of course the Gleaming Depths raid, and I've set some limitations for myself. I'm not allowed to use vampires, bloodied, anti-armor, quad, unyielding, overeaters, pretty much any of the best and go-to legendary effects for both damage and survivability. Not allowed to use gear like the Union Power Armor set, which is of course very good for the raid due to its poison resistance, and I'm not allowed to use specific weapons like the Auto Axe with effects like Pounders, which can absolutely demolish some of the bosses in the encounters. Can't use the Gatling Plasma, which is pretty much the top choice for heavy gunners, especially with its new shiny mods. I have to be bloodied for each encounter, so I cannot be full health. I must be at least half health or lower, and the team is restricted to just 2 players for the raid instead of 4. Now, I'm not going to impose these restrictions on my teammate though. He already had to put up with this request, so shout out to Zach for putting up with Nightmare's bullshit. But for the first encounter against the Guardian, the biggest concern here was of course being extremely bloodied and surviving the laser attacks from the Guardian, which can absolutely destroy your health bar very quickly. Usually I'm full health here with something like an Overeater set, so this was a drastic change, but one that was actually easily solved by troubleshooters. Troubleshooters of course specific to robots, but giving you that percentage damage reduction, so having that on the armor set allowed me to tank the Guardian's attacks without too much worry. Just the occasional stim pack coming in to save the day. For my weapon, I also went with troubleshooters here, in particular on a fixer. The small magazine size sucked, but at least could get the crits in to do good damage, and with all that being said, we did manage to two-phase the Guardian. So the first encounter, without access to any of the usual go-to choices, went pretty smoothly. The second encounter, on the other hand, was not exactly a walk in the park. Now, that might sound a bit odd considering it's just the drill encounter. Pretty straightforward, nothing complex. Defend the drill and collect the fuel. Correct, but this encounter does have a lot of RNG built into it, which can make things a bit unpredictable. Usually, you'll hear players say, everyone just run at the beginning, because the mole miners don't do much damage to the drill at the beginning of the encounter. Well, when it's just me and my buddy, every single mole miner and their grandmother in Appalachia decides the drill is the #1 enemy of the state, and by the time we get back with the first couple canisters, the drill has a bee's dick of health left. So, 1 defender and 1 runner. It either goes well for us, or it doesn't, so this took a couple of tries to say the least. I was defending and I opted for a Furious Chainsaw here, which got the job done. It wasn't exceptional in its performance, but again, choosing options that aren't the go-to was the main point of this run, so things got a bit spicy when the miners got to their enraged state. So then, in certain moments, we'd go for 2 defenders just to clear things up and make sure the drill's paint job didn't get too scuffed. But eventually we got it done and could move on to much quicker encounters. With the next one being the squad, the biggest concern here was actually going to be Bloodhound, because even full health and something like an Overeater set, that dude's power attacks can absolutely chunk your health bar pretty quickly, and I was going full-blooded here, so much like troubleshooters in the first encounter, assassins came to the rescue here for both the armor set and the weapon. I did opt for a flamer here, an assassin's one, which worked out perfectly. The repair bots were also feeling generous, knowing what we went through in the drill encounter, so they decided to just focus on the bottom section, which helps out a lot when there's only 2 people in this encounter. But this was the quickest encounter out of them all. You deal with Bloodhound, then quickly move over to Lynx, and then clean up a Vulture. Nothing complex here, so moving on. Next up was the Crystals, and here's a question for some of you out there. You know who you are. Why skip this encounter? It's the easiest one to do, and you skip raid rewards. Don't do that. Don't be a twat. Don't glitch through the door to go straight to the Ultrasight Terror. Only do that if Mr. One-Shot decides to not leave his cave. But besides that, nothing to really say about this. Lead them to the crystals, pop the crystals like any good junkie, and be on your way. Was interested to see how I handled the poison here without stuff like the Union Power Armor, and it went fine with the help of Stimpaks, of course, until I got one shot. But hey, it's crystals, it really doesn't matter. Any builds go here, and you only need one player in this encounter anyway, so moving on to the grand finale. Now, for this encounter, for the first time in 76's history, I got to use hunters. Who would have thought? Literally bottom of the barrel legendary effect, but hey, it came in handy here. Now, I did go for half health here, just because even with copious amounts of poison resistance, the Ultracite Terror can absolutely destroy your health bar with its poison attacks. So this encounter took a couple of tries to figure out my survivability and how many Stimpaks I needed to absolutely spam to keep myself alive, as well as my buddy using something like T-Medic to make sure I stayed breathing as well. For the weapon, I swapped between a Hunter's Fixer and a Hunter's Railway Rifle, mainly the Railway Rifle. With 10 rounds in the magazine, it was quite annoying, the short bursts of damage and constant reloading, but hey, at least it's a railway, so it hits pretty damn hard even after its nerfs. But with just the two of us and my insane addiction to Stimpaks, we did manage to get through the Gleaming Depths raid and this encounter with all of my specific limitations. So once again, thank you to my buddy for putting up with this request, and if you want to see more stuff like this, then let me know in the comments, or just go to the Discord server and shout at me there. I'm terrible with YouTube comments. If there's a particular build that you love going for that's just completely against the meta for the raid, then let me know down in the comments, whether it's your armor or your weapon choice or legendary effect. I'd be interested to hear that. But for now, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.